Aloha and welcome to Thumbing Through Yesterday, the podcast where we take our favorite books down from the shelf, dust them off, remind ourselves why it is we love them so. My name's Tom Galley, and with me today we have Tony Pasculi.
Thanks, Tom.
And we are talking today about one of my favorites, the first novel by C.S.Friedman, In Conquest Born.
All right. Well, surprise. Why is this a favorite book of yours?
I'm not 100% sure, I think this was my introduction to C.S.Friedman, but even if it wasn't, this is just an amazing book to me. It has a couple of substantial issues, but it's just so spanning, it's so expansive. You know, you're talking about, at its heart, two star empires that have been in continuous war for tens of thousands of years. They can, in fact, conceive no way to be other than in a continuous state of war. And the characters that ultimately prove to be at the heart of this particular novel are exemplars of, well, one of them is an exemplar of what his race, what his side should be. Mm-hmm. And the other one is an exemplar of everything her side shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the surprise ending where we find out that they're all the same. Yeah. And then there are just so many neat things that go into this. You know, on the one side, you've got Zatar. He is one of the elite of the Broxy, and it's written with a stupid accent on the end, so I assume it's Broxana instead of Broxana. But anyway, and the Broxans are a planet, a strain of humanity that relish war. Mm-hmm. And the Broxana are the ruling tribe of all of Broxy. And they are beautiful, and they are physically perfect specimens, and they keep themselves apart. And they have an elaborate language with something like 23 different tones to it to contain unbelievable subtleties. And they are brutal and vicious, and that's what they cherish. And the Azayans are not the opposite per se, but they do relish peace, and rather than forcing environment to their will, they force themselves to adapt to the environment. And so, I mean, you've got these two almost diametrically opposed cores, each of which has built an empire around itself. Mm-hmm. And it's a conflict of values as much as it's a conflict of arms, and the sneakiness and the political intrigue. And I can't think of anything this thing doesn't have. Although, again, there are a couple of...
All right. So question for you. How many times have you read this book?
I would hazard a guess that this is my fifth time through.
Fifth time through. What was your take on it the first time through?
I picked it up again, so
okay, well, that's
I
true.
kept buying Friedman.
And when did you encounter it first?
This was published in 86. My guess is that I found it while it was young. Yeah. Probably. I vaguely remember still reading this while I was at Louisiana Tech, which would put it at pre-90. Okay. So somewhere in that window between 86 and 90. So
college for you, undergrad.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, interesting. So there's a lot to like about this book. I mean, it is, as you say, vast and epic, and it calls to mind sort of Dune and Werner Vinge's Zones of Thought series for me a little bit. You know, massive star empires, and yet it's a very, very personal story, which is great. I found it so disorienting, though.
I did say there were issues.
Yeah, I was lost. I was so lost in this book. And about 2/3 of the way through, I discovered there's a glossary at the back. I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm going to read the glossary. That made it worse. The glossary introduces ideas that are not in the text. I'm like, now I'm really confused.
There are issues with it. This is her first novel, which, I mean, coming out of the gate with this, I think is a really strong start.
It's impressive. You know, it's impressive for a first novel, I'll say that.
Yeah, but our Azian hero, Anza, right? You know, her backstory is that she sees her parents killed by this horrific Braxton poison, you know, and she is scarred for life. And she happens to be a very strong innate telepath. And then they do something that they don't tell us they do. She just lapses into this kind of hysterical blindness. They don't bother to tell us that happened. But, you know, we see that she's wrapped up in this, she's locked herself in some sort of psychic cocoon, and they bring psychics in to penetrate that. And that's, when she's 6 years old or something like that. And then we hear tales of her that are filtering through to the Braxton government.
Yeah.
And there's something about this child that's been hysterically blind for 10 years who's suddenly on the move.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, what?
What? Is that the same child? I'm going to assume it's the same child. And they never make, it does turn her out to be her, but, little plot points like that, she doesn't quite.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah,
there's
there
a
is.
lot of, it's like, oh, we're going to set this plan into motion. It's going to take 2 years. Next chapter. So that's done. I'm like, well, what?
It does spans 2 lifetimes. And these
Yeah.
are not, normal human lifetimes. They live hundreds of years. It's not obscenely long. It's not, Leto and Dune long, but it's long. But, she jumps from being a teenager struggling to get into the Telepath Academy to fighting her way to enroll in the military to being a general. There are huge time gaps in there.
There's time gaps, and there's a thing. What made me the most crazy in this book. Every individual scene I enjoyed. It's like this scene, she sets it up, but she intros every scene like it's a short story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, here's a short story of what happens to this character. And it's like, so there's all this mystery. It's like, who is this? Who is this character? And what's happening to them? Some mysterious thing, because she's very vague and general about it. And then you realize, wait a minute, this is a character we've seen before. You just haven't told us their name. Why are you keeping this a secret from me? Why are you starting this like it's the beginning of the novel all over again?
She does do this, yes. She does do this. And she also delights in starting a story that doesn't seem to have any relevance, like the blood drinkers. I can't remember their name, But there was this whole thing about this clan of warriors who have ritualistic combat to the death.
Yeah.
And you get into the middle of it, and it's like, it's a pretty cool story, but why are we in this pretty cool story? Mm-hmm. Oh, it turns out that one of them's an imposter. He's actually a Braxton undercover. He's a spy. It's like, at no point have you told us anyone's looking for a Braxton spy.
Yeah.
And yet we have brought our heroine into the story to find the Braxton spy. So it only exists so that the heroine can meet one of the other Azayans. I shouldn't call her heroine. I don't really think that's a good label. But it only meets for Anza to meet... I can't remember the other one's name. Yeah, she does not worry a whole lot about context.
Yeah. There was also another confusing issue for me. So on my first time through, I think if I read it again, knowing what I know now, I would be able to slot all the pieces where they go and go, aha, and appreciate it more. But in addition to the plot twist of them being the same, both of them go undercover as the other race at some point. Is that right?
Yes. Actually, I think Zaytar might have done it twice.
He does it twice. Yeah, and so I was just bewildered. I was like, wait, who's the enemy now? Who are they fighting? Yeah, it was just really hard for me to keep the factions straight. But anyway, every individual scene is very well crafted. I was like, wow, that was great. That was amazing.
This might have been nice to have a reader's guide too.
Well, the glossary was not it.
No, the glossary's not. And in fact, I remember I had set, a timeline for myself. I needed to finish it by the end of 2 weekends ago so that I'd have a week to work on your book. And I was winding down, and it was clearly getting to the end of the story, and yet the Kindle told me I was like 97 or 87% of the way through. I'm like, what's this last 13% of the book? It's got to be over. I remember it being over. Yeah. And thankfully, the appendix is like 12% of the book, or the glossary is like 12% of the book. So.
Yes, yeah. It is lengthy.
Yep.
All right, here's a question. We've talked about prologues before, I think. And if we haven't, we'll talk about them next episode. But what did you think of the epilogue?
I'm embarrassed to admit I don't remember the epilogue.
Well, it's labeled as an epilogue, and I'm sure you remember it because it's the thing that's it's weirdly like a prologue, actually, that just comes at the end of the book. Like it just summarizes a big chunk of the history of these people. But it would be a spoiler to do it as a prologue. So it's how the painting comes to be painted.
Oh, yes. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. That was the push I needed.
Yeah.
You're right. If this had been a prologue, if this had actually been presented chronologically, Lord, more than half of the mystery of the book evaporates.
Yes.
And then it would change in character quite a bit. I loved the fact that the painting existed. Mm-hmm. And I loved the impact that it had on Zatar and the fact that he chose to display it to his people, to share this secret to his people. And I was so everlastingly thankful that she deigned to share the secret with me at the end. Because if she had not taken that time to point out what it was about the painting that was so changing.
I think she could have shared that in context. And I was kind of annoyed at the time when she didn't. It's like they reveal a painting and it's like, oh my God, you've seen this painting. I have to kill you now. I've got to keep this a secret, wrap it up. I'll show it later. Because, my God, this is earth-shaking next chapter. Yeah. This is like Lovecraft-style writing.
Yep. Well, no, just a nitpicky point here. He didn't kill the guy because the guy had seen the painting.
No,
he killed the guy because the guy saw his surprise at seeing the painting. And the Broxana cannot be surprised.
Yes, good point. But that's very Lovecraft. You know, somebody reads a piece of paper and they go, "My God, it's horrible!" Oh, and no one will ever see it again. It's whipped overboard. Yeah. So we do get the explanation in the epilogue, but I think a lot of that could have been slipped right in there in context. And I don't know. Yeah. So what did you think of the epilogue? I mean, you like it, but
I mean, I do. I like it because we got to the end of the book without clear understanding of the significance of the painting. And it came along and it gave us clear understanding of that significance. Would it have hurt anything to slip that earlier? I don't think so. And particularly at the point where you have Anza and Zatar engaging in that final dialogue and they both know about the painting.
Yeah.
Why can't we know about it? They're having a conversation about the thing we're supposed to appreciate. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. She could have worked that in contextually. While it was on display in the museum or something, we could have taken a little time to ponder and appreciate it.
This is a thing. I mean, this is a thing that Quentin Tarantino is sort of well known for, is telling his stories out of order to heighten. I don't know what his deal was. And one of the great things about Tony Scott directing True Romance instead of Quentin Tarantino is Tony Scott put it back in order, and I think it was more effective that way because I read the original screenplay and it's confused. So when you tell things out of order, you get to the high point of the book. You're at the climax. You're at the very, very end of the book, and it's like, whoa. Let's introduce 2 brand new characters. It's like, no, there's 10 pages left. What are you doing?
It is the only part that's nonlinear, though.
It is. It's true. It's the only part that's nonlinear.
Everything else proceeds in chronological order. It's just, you could have put the epilogue at the beginning, but again, it really would change what there was to appreciate about the book.
Anyway, this strikes me as a beginning writer's move. Yeah, this is her first novel.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that really makes me think this is a beginning writer, or feels like a beginning writer, is clearly she had thought about the world building here for a long, long, long time before she sat down and wrote it. I think she was one of those people that had the whole thing just.
Did your version have her forward?
I don't know.
This one has a forward from her where she talks about this. And the first, she had dabbled with short stories. She had played with these characters, some of them. She had done some of the world building. But she had one of those moments where she couldn't sleep and she sat down at a keyboard and the words just poured out. And by the time the sun came up, she had written what ended up being chapter 11 of this book.
Interesting.
And then from there, she just refused to stop and wrote the rest of the book around it. Every time I've read this time no different, when I've gotten to chapter 11, I've tried to take a moment and look at it and see, and I don't. It's just a chapter in the book. I don't see it as the origin. So I don't know what that says about her as a writer, but it says something, I'm sure.
It's fuzzy. It didn't stick in my head.
Well, the epilogue didn't stick in mine, so that's fair.
Yeah, but it's that's something you see a lot in. Well, I don't know. I went to college for nerds, where everybody there had a fantasy novel they've been working on since high school, and that was just sort of the thing. You know, mm-hmm. It's like this is my baby. This is the thing I've been dreaming about for the last 10 years, and I I signed up for this MFA program so you could help me bring it into the world. And it's just like, oh man, you have been working on this for a while, haven't you? Yeah. So I get that impression from this book also.
Yeah, I mean, it's intense. These two civilizations, the idea of the scattered races, the seeding, the fact that even after tens of thousands of years of war, the Braxtons still have an expansion plan for stuff they haven't gotten to yet. I think it would be fascinating. So at some point in history, someone came around and scooped up all kinds of alien and human life from whatever their origin planets were and scattered them throughout the galaxy and left them to fend.
Yeah.
I would not mind hearing that story.
The seeding was interesting. No, I like that being a mystery. I love it when there's just like some overarching existential, it's like, did humanity do this? Did aliens do this? Was it some sort of weird accident? What happened here? I love that. That's amazing. I love that kind of thing.
It was pretty cool. I mean, you had the Azayans who were left on a planet that effectively couldn't support life and chose to develop themselves so that it was no big whoop to live there.
But as I recall, the idea of the seeding doesn't come in until like the last chapter, the second to last chapter.
They make just casual references to it. They talk about the scattered races.
Yes.
There's comment about an ice planet. Of course, I thought of Hoth from the Star Wars franchise, but an ice planet where the inhabitants there, the people don't like thinking of them as human because although they're clearly bipedal and physically mirror us, they are just so furry and alien that it's easier to think of them as animals. There are actual aliens. None of them play a particular role in this, but they exist out there.
And there are also parallel evolutional humans that are not from the original stock. They were not seeded. They just sort of sprang up and copied our template. Yeah, which is interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a debate over whether or not they should count as human. I think some of this could have been layered in earlier because I was very confused at like, we have these clearly two different races who are fighting it out, and yet they're both human.
Yep.
And I was like, what is happening there? Yeah. All right. But definitely epic in scope, definitely dense. I mean, yeah. And definitely well written, scene by scene, I'll say.
Yep. They have these little running footnotes at the end of each chapter that were writings from Harker, who was the original king of the Braxton, and then from his pupil,
Vinod or something? Vitor? I don't know. It starts with a V, yeah.
It starts with a V. I thought I had one highlighted. But no, from his pupil, who was the first of the Braxana to assume leadership and who took
Viton.
Took them in that route to have the Braxi be the ruling planet of that. Do they call theirs? No, the Star Empire is the other side. His is the holding.
The
Braxi have the holding. Phaeton, yes.
Yeah, that was another thing that reminded me of Dune. You had every chapter of Dune starts with an excerpt from the Galactic Encyclopedia or from
something like that, or the writings of the Princess Irulan.
Exactly. Yeah. And these puts them at the end of the chapter instead, which was interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
When was this written? You said 86?
This was published in 86.
86, okay. So definitely post-Dune.
I mean, other than the scale of it, I don't feel a lot of Dune in this.
Okay, the scale of it is more like the Vinge books, the Zones of Thought. Yeah. It feels Dune-y to me, and then it's very political. There's just a lot of infighting and subterfuge and that sort of thing.
There is a lot of politicking that goes on in this.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Anza abandons her quest, or at least her affiliation with the military. She is driven by exactly one thing. She wants revenge on whoever killed her parents. And she was programmed that way by the Psychic Institute, or reinforced to do that. And this drove her through her recruitment in the Psychic Institute. It drove her through joining the military. It drove her through becoming one of the bloodletters and crossing the ice plains of the frozen planet. It drove her to abandon the military, steal a ship full of psychics, and launch a private crusade on an unconquered world specifically designed to fight the Braxi. And it drove her to infiltrate Braxi society to find Zatar. I even forget where I was going with that, but yeah. Oh, and then she makes the discovery that it's not the Braxi that she hates, or it is the Braxi that she hates, but she too is Braxy, you know. So
yeah.
I mean, it's just.
And also, she's been programmed like a missile, you know.
She has been programmed like a missile. Some of it she has broken. Some of it she has subsumed. But yep.
I wonder how this book would be if there had been one protagonist instead of two. I mean, obviously, that's an unfair question because the whole point of the book is to have these two in opposition to each other. But I wonder how it would have been if she had picked one and told that story.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. That's an interesting question. You know, but you end up, and you can see this telegraphed in a way that, you know, these two people. Now, of course, Zaytar originally has no awareness that Anza exists, but Anza is razor focused. She doesn't know who Zaytar is, but she's focused on him from the beginning. And this, you know, from the beginning, this is going to be the story of, and they realize they're the same, right? Yeah. Doesn't mean they're going to fall in love or anything. I mean, they can still hate each other, maybe even kill each other, but she did telegraph that. I felt like Friedman really did telegraph that as where she was heading.
Yes. So you obviously like this book enough to pick it up 4 more times. And have you read the sequel? There's a sequel.
I have read the sequel a couple of times. I don't find it as satisfying as I find this one. And in part, in her early career, C.S.Friedman was adamant about saying, I don't write sequels. Now, she's got nothing against writing series, and she's got several series out there. But when she finally did come back and write The Wilding, I kind of felt, I don't know, I felt a way about that because she had made it a thing. And then, I mean, she's a functioning human. She can decide to change her mind. I shouldn't hold it against her. But then when I went and read it, it just didn't move me the way this one did. The story, it felt like she was trying to artificially create the same sort of complexity that had happened organically in this one.
I think, so again, this is just my speculation that this is a thing that she dwelled on for a long, long time before she blasted it out. It becomes very difficult to follow up something like that. A lot of people try to follow up an initial thing that they've been stewing on for 10 years with something else. And it's just, you just don't have that timeline again. You never have that 10-year grace period to just sort of mull it over. Yeah. You never get that again.
Well, and maybe that was why initially she was, you know, anti-sequel. Yeah. But she had a neat idea and wanted to follow it through. And honestly, I couldn't tell you what The Wilding is. Is it The Wilding or The Change? The Wilding is about.
Wilding, yeah.
I know that I've read it more than once. I assume twice. And I know that I remember feeling less satisfied by it. And that's literally it. I couldn't tell you what the plot was.
So how much other Friedman have you read? I know we read one previously on this
I've read
podcast.
A fair bit.
Yeah.
There was a point in time, actually even as recently as pre-COVID, I would have declared I've read everything she's published. But she has published stuff since then that I have not read. So I've got to get to break my momentum and acquire the new ones. She's done a couple of trilogies. I love the Cold Fire series. It's amazing. Yeah, I like her a lot. And one of the things I really appreciate about her is I think that she does aliens very well.
Yes, I remember that from the previous book, which remind me of the name of the previous book we read?
The Madness Season.
The Madness Season, yeah. Yeah, okay. That is a thing that I used to have and I do it less now, where I would stumble on an author and would go, holy shit, and then I would go to the bookstore and I would just fill my basket and then just plow through their entire collected works whenever I discovered someone new that I liked. And I find that I do not do that now. And that is a shame, I think. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Just because they have one book that really speaks to you, it's a commitment to plow through somebody's entire inventory.
If it really speaks to you, there should be something else worthwhile in there. Yeah.
There should be. And this would be a fantastic line item to talk about in our next episode, actually.
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
So moving away from that, though, I know I've hammered this a couple of times. I'm going to hit it again.
Yeah.
The fact that these two empires have been around for so long and they've been engaged in such level of combat, and in fact, their technologies are identical at this point. There's been so much espionage and development, and they've literally taken technology as far as it can be taken. And there's a reference here. There have been star battles going, and the Azaean ships are outperforming the Holdings ships, and they can't figure out why. And the comment is, Hire gave us the optimum balance for high-speed void flight nearly 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
10,000 years ago, they came up with a formula, the perfect balance for a fighting ship. For 10,000 years, no one's been able to shake it. I mean, the pinnacle of evolution, they've reached it. They've done it. They can't get any better at anything. And for over 10,000 years, for tens of thousands of years, they've been locked in combat. And for over 10,000 years, it's been static.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any advancement because there's no advancement to be had. I don't know why I love that so much, but I love that so much.
That's interesting. I think we talked about this in a previous episode. One of the differentiators between what feels like fantasy to me and what feels like science fiction is a static world feels like fantasy to me, and a dynamic world feels like science fiction. And so even though we have various tropes here like alien races and spaceships and, advanced weaponry and so on, this feels very fantasy, except for the fact that it takes place on multiple worlds. It feels very fantasy, and that the spaceships are backdrop. You could replace them with portals or whatever, because we've been locked in this situation, like you say, for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. It's just, it's endless.
I could see that. And really, the science fiction isn't terribly important to any part of the story.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could buy that as just a backdrop. I don't know that I would classify it as fantasy, though. It doesn't really give us magic in any sort of a way.
We have psychics.
Well, we do have psychics. Okay, that's a pretty strong link, but I don't know.
And we have assassination by poison.
Now, political intrigue.
And political intrigue.
Now, I would definitely classify this as a political intrigue. This could almost be written as a, who wrote Shogun?
Oh, Clavel.
I mean, I could see this as a Clavel style thing where neither, it's about politics, it's about religion.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters.
I could see it as a George R.R. Martin type of thing, where you have these factions that are locked in conflict, and they each have their they pride themselves on how different they are from each other when in fact they're very similar. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but Martin at least actually has magic.
Yeah, he does. Well,
overt flame ball magic.
Yes,
proper magic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Fun read. I was bewildered much of the time, but I enjoyed everything that I read. So yeah.
I encourage you to read it 3 or 4 more times, and all will become less unclear.
I'm sure.
I won't say all will become clear because there's still stuff I was like, wait, what? Oh, come on. You could. Oh, well, whatever. You know what? She's got published novels to her name, and I do not. So who am I to critique?
All right. Before we wrap this up, which is your favorite Friedman?
Oh, that is so hard. I think I would go with the Coldfire trilogy.
Which we haven't read.
And she has actually written a 4th book to the trilogy, or a prequel to the trilogy. I don't know. It's one of the recently published things I haven't read yet.
The Coldfire trilogy.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe I'll take a look at that.
It is some profound fantasy that, like the Dragon Riders of Pern, takes a sci-fi turn at the end.
Interesting. All right. Anything else on this one?
Oh, I'm good. If you haven't read this book, you should read this book. And then you should read more Friedman.
Read this book. Read this book when you have time to take your time with it, and then maybe read it twice.
Yeah, definitely don't try to power through this.
And don't read the glossary until you're done with the book, because it will just make you more confused. It's at the end of the book for a reason. The glossary for Dune is at the beginning of the book for a reason.
Presumably, yep.
Yeah, this one's at the end of the book. Read it last.
All right, what do we got up next?
Next we have sort of a cheat. It's Among Others by Joe Walton, and we'll talk about why it's a cheat next time.
All right, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.